Hello, everybody. Welcome to welcome to the Mikestand. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Hello, everybody. So RJ told me he might be a little late. Just waiting on him. Hero. Hello. Hey, Woody. We're just gonna wait a few minutes. RJ said he might be a little late. He was just leaving where he was coming from. Just after 5. So hopefully he'll be here soon. So tonight we're going to be finishing off our August of 1938 coverage of the historical comic retrospect. We're going to be taking a look primarily at only book that was out at the time was Feature Funnies number 13. We're going to introduce you guys to a new character by the name of Black X. Be going through his little bio real quick, and then be getting into the comic itself. I also will have an announcement at the end of the show in regards to the remainder of the year here, so you might want to stick around for that as well. Anyway, so Woody, you're here. How'd your day go today? And as always, guys, of course, if you can like and share the stream, that would help. See if we can get some more friendly people in here. Wet? Was it raining where you're at, Woody? I guess that would make sense. You're down there in Arkansas. Excuse me a moment. I got to go tend to Chloe. She's barking again. Be right back. Hello. Hey, Timothy. Sorry about that. I had to go tend to my dog. She was barking, so that's why I was away from the computer there. But, anyways, so basically, I'm just waiting a little bit on RJ to get here. He said he might be running a little late. So if he's not here, we'll start at about probably the 10-minute mark, regardless of if he's here or not. But anyways, yeah. So just to and as always, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. That helps get more friendlier people in here, of course. Yeah, so tonight, as I was mentioning earlier, we're going to probably be finishing up our coverage of August of 1938, focusing in on the 13th issue of Feature Funnies, going over a little bit of a um, gone over a little bit of a we're gonna introduce you to Black X from the Quality Universe, and then we'll read some Clock, and then kind of jump around to some of the more slice of life humor type strips. So that's what's on tap for tonight. I also have an announcement at the end of the show regarding the remainder of 2021 in regards to the mic stand that you might want to stick around for. So again, how's everybody? Timothy, how are you doing today? Anything exciting happen in your neck of the woods? Uh, hmm. Yeah, not as talkative tonight, guys, huh? I guess I can understand that. Every now and again, you might not be as communicative as normally would be. Oh, there we go. We're all just waiting for the big show to begin. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a conversation going. Just kind of a little small talk going, and at least till we hit the 10-minute mark. Hopefully, RJ will get here soon. Um, other than that, let's see. Overture, trim the lights. This is it. Night of Nights. Yeah, isn't that from Merv Griffith or something like that? Or the Ed Sullivan Show. That's probably from Ed Sullivan Show. Oh, actually, no. Actually, trim the lights. That's from the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck show. Actually, no more rehearsing and cursing apart. We know every part by heart. Oh yeah, now I remember what it is. That's from the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck show. Um, yeah, so on with the show. This is it. Da 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 da. For all the lights we hit. On with the show. This is it. Ah. All right, so we're at 9.5 minutes. Said we'll probably get going here at 10-minute mark. Let me see. I might as well get the screen share up for our material here. All right, there we go. Right. So we're just past the 10-minute mark. Okay. So here we go. So tonight, as I said, we're going to be looking at Feature Funnies number 13. Now, this was, of course, the book that debuted Black X, and we're gonna do a little intro on him, and then we'll actually go to the actual comic and read through. We'll read through the Black X story as well as um, the clock, and then go back and read some of the other material. So, anyways, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. So Black X is one of many characters that DC picked up when they bought out Quality Comics back in '56 after the company had gone down. As you see right here, Black X debuted in cover date October 38, on sale day August of 38 in Feature Funnies number 13. So just to let you guys know who Black X is, Black X was a famous secret agent who traveled the World War II world, disrupting the schemes of international terrorists and continent conquering tyrants. He remained very busy throughout the Second World War and afterwards. Now, this was, of course, in the Quality universe, as we've talked about before, the idea of the multiverse. This was this would eventually become part of the multiverse. So, his powers and abilities here. His abilities include espionage, disguise, hand-to-hand combat. Basic hand-to-hand combat, aviation, firearms, multilingualism, investigation, and surveillance. He's basically, as noted, a spy. Basically, weaknesses: missing eye. Black X wears a monocle to cover his badly injured right eye, which was poked out by Kadu Khan in a fruitless attempt to learn an important secret. The encounter took place sometime before Richard Spencer adopted his Black X identity, because he was already wearing the monocle in Feature Funnies number 13. And then here are some notes on the character. Let's see if before I get into that, let me see if RJ's here yet. No, not yet. All right, as we continue on. The very first Black X story in Feature Funnies number 13 makes the unusual claim that the name Richard Spencer and Black X were both made up by the author of the comic, because the spy's real name and real code name can't be revealed. This is never brought up again, so for the purpose of these indexes, we are treating Richard Spencer and Black X as real names. Lane French wrote this feature in 1941. Tony Bloom wrote it in 1942. Otto Bender wrote it in 1942-43. This is, of course, after now. Right now, though, Will Eisner is the one who is writing it. He's the one who created Black X here. Black X is not known to be affiliated with Captain X, X of the Underground, or X5 Super Agent. Black X was referred to as a famous secret agent many times. Yeah, that almost sounds like an oxymoron in terms of a famous secret agent. Yeah, I don't see how you can be famous and a secret agent at the same time. Well, probably could if people just if you're famous based on your code name. But anyways, So that's basically the gist of the bio there. Okay, so now on with the show. This is it. Now let's get to the feature of the yeah, I forgot to shrink that back down to 125 last time I was here. All right, so let's see. Alrighty then, so here we go. Here's, of course, feature funnies number 13. We'll be looking through this book quite a bit here tonight. So, feature funnies, starring Mickey Finn. Also starring Joe Palooka, The Bungles, Espionage with Black X, that we just talked about, Ned Brandt, and Dixie Dugan. Also featuring Lollapalooza, The Clock. I can't make out that guy's name because of the fact it's pretty dark. Toddy, Big Top, Gallant Knight, and Jane Arden. So without any further ado, let's get it. Let's see. I told ya to let me catch it, Uncle Phil. Of course, these comics were 10 cents, as you see right there in the. Probably not the best of scans here, mind you, but. All of us champion athletes eat candy. Oh, yeah, here's an ad for candy. Candy is a delicious food. Enjoy some every day. Let's see. Actually, we'll come back to, of course. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off. Not arf. I'm not a dog after all. Okay, so here we go. Espionage featuring Black X. That's what we're going to be looking at here. Espionage by Will Irwin, actually. And I thought it was Eisner, but Will Irwin. A complete short story starring Black X. Espionage, a dangerous branch of the service in which there is no turning back. No rescue if you're caught. No glory if you succeed. The following is a story of, well, we'll call him the Black X. And top and for obvious reasons, we will use fictitious names throughout. We shall, however, use the actual time and place for the incident was closed. On Sunday evening, December 23rd, a large airliner left Newark Airport for Washington, D.C., with only one passenger aboard. Only one passenger. At exactly 8:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the radio operator at the airport was roused from the book he was reading. Hello, calling Newark Airport. We're on fire. We're falling. Crash! Holy smoke! They've crashed! The next morning, the newspapers told of the tragedy. The headline reads, of course, airliner crashes on New Jersey, lone passenger and pilots missing, presumed dead. That headline, which you may have noticed, reached many places, among them. Fortune smiles upon us, eh? Yaw, August. Ha 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 ha, yaw. Good, good, very good. Who's there? Have you much? Richard Spencer. Good, come in. Anyways, the plane crash idea of yours has apparently worked so far. So for the time being Richard Spencer is dead. Now to now to your assignment. Hmm. So the plans for the floating airbase have been stolen. One plan, the key, is still in your possession. I must retrieve those plans, eh? Exactly. From the moment you leave this room, you cease to exist. You are only X. You are caught. If you are caught, you can expect no aid from me. This job must be done by you alone. Good luck. Pennsylvania Station, the crossroads of the world, a noisy stage for the countless dramas played within its marble confines. A train has just pulled in from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. A figure emerges from the crowd, leaving the train, and searches the faces of the moving throng. At last, his gaze falls on a man who pushes his way hastily through the surging crowd. Hey, taxi! Instantly, he is followed into the taxi. Excuse me, but I'm joining you. Move over. And hand me the case with the plans. I've a gun in your back. Gulp. Okay. Hmm. Excuse me a moment. I gotta go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back. Right, sorry about that. Hopefully everybody's still here with me. But anyways, thanks. I say, driver, stop here. My friend is getting out. You won't get away with this. I wonder why he changed cases with me. I've got to get to police headquarters and send out an alarm for him. What the? Another holdup? Yes, and I wouldn't reach for my gun if I were you. Step in the alley, and I'll take those papers. Later, in a hideout, Did you have to kill him? There was nothing in the case anyhow, but a letter. What does it say? It says, I have found out about this shipment in the same manner as you, Nemo Mortalium. Nemo Mortalium Omnibus. Horace Sapit. That's Latin for no one is wise at all times. The Black X. That letter comes from the Hotel Ulrich. I saw their watermark on the stationery. Meet me on the boat. I'll have the plans in 2 hours. RJ is late. Hmm. All right, let's see. I expect a visitor tonight. Will you kindly tell him my room number, or don't tell him that I know. I want to surprise him. Yes, sir. Later that night, a gentleman from Washington? Oh, yes, room 203. I'll have someone show you. No thanks, fish face. Hmm, the audacity. Why, if I wasn't a gentleman, I'd slap his face. Lucky for you that you are a gentleman. Oh boy, that guy. I wonder where the desk is. It's black as pitch in here. Perhaps I could help you, my good man? Stay where you are, wise guy. Who are you? I'm the Black X. You've come for those plans, I presume. If you'll put your gun away, I think we can make a deal, say, for about $2,000 cash? Sold. Yeah, I'll be on the Barentaria in an hour. Oh, wait. Oh, I suppose you're leaving the country tonight. Yeah, I'll be on the Barentaria in an hour. As soon as a man leaves, hello, hello, Major Gale, this is X. Have the Bonantina boarded by detectives at Ellis Island. Have Aspie for you. All right, I'll have Aspie for you. An hour later, the proud, majestic greyhound of the sea glides across the New York harbor towards the Narrows. Pretty shady. Some people might say some of this is pretty shady, but this is spy work after all. Uh, hmm. There we go. Hey, RJ.
How's everybody doing?
Well, it looks like it's just you and I and one other person, I think, right now. So,
Oh, well, that's a party.
yeah.
I was in pitch black and blinding rain downpour. I'm like, this couldn't happen on a better night than when I've got to actually drive somewhere.
Yeah, I know what you. I know. I kind of know what you mean. You may be able to hear if you hear me talking here a little bit, you can tell I caught a bug this week.
Oh, man.
And I had a number of things I had to get done this week, including going and getting some daytime cough syrup and also going and picking up my atenolol refill, my blood pressure med refill. So, granted, it's a cold. It's not COVID-19 or anything like that. I'm pretty sure of that. But
It's the common COVID.
huh?
It's
Well,
the
yeah.
common
Well, yeah.
COVID.
The common cold is it's COVID-6, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got to thinking too. I said, I said I'd be back in time because I was before the last time we did it. But I think the last time I was coming back from this appointment to co-host, you were still on your old time frame, your schedule. So I think I probably thought I had an extra hour of leeway in there that I didn't have.
Yeah, we started 6, but well, yeah, and you can always go back and after the show too, and and look up. Right now I'm reading Espionage by Will Irwin and then we'll read the clock story, and then we'll go through and read more randomly after those two features.
All right,
But I
let's
already
keep
I
going.
already did kind of like the bio and the powers and abilities, weaknesses, and notes on Black X here. So and feel free if you've seen it now just to give you kind of a little just to kind of catch you up to what's going on here. This is Black X. This is of course one of the characters that I think DC would have picked up when they bought up Quality back in 1950. Well, I don't know if they actually got this particular character, but he was part of the Quality universe, Quality Comics back prior to them shutting down in 1956.
Black
This,
X.
yeah, yeah. This is a spy type comic. Um,
He's public domain.
yeah,
So DC didn't pick him up.
yeah. Well, he was part of the Quality universe. The Quality universe, which also had like Plastic Man, the Blackhawks,
Yeah.
Uncle Sam, the characters that would become known as the Freedom Fighters. Um, yeah. Um, anyways, I'm reading this first story here, and then we'll go over to, as I said, the clock. And after we're finished reading the clock, then we'll kind of go back from the beginning, just kind of randomly read, with whatever time remaining we have, up until about quarter till. Actually, I do have an announcement at the end of the show as well in regards to the rest of the month. You might be able to tell what it's going to be already just by listening to me. But
All right.
anyways, let's get back to this. And of course, feel free to comment if you notice anything or have anything that you pick up on as I'm reading. Feel free to comment or give some commentary or what have you, and then we can talk about it. All right?
All right.
Okay, so here we go. Ha ha! And that's the story. Only cost $2,000 and well, get 80 for it. Say, I'd like to meet your boss. You will, my friend. Just be patient. Alex, who is this grinning baboon with a cigar? Hiya, boss. Well, we've got the papers. It was easy. You? Say, is that your boss? I thought the Black X. Say, sir, what's this fellow babbling about? I've never seen him before. Who are you talking about? And who is the Black X? I am the Black X, gentlemen. The boss and the guy and this guy, they look exactly alike. Twins, except the boss has a scar across his face. Amazing. We both look alike. Astounding. Too bad we are on opposite sides. You see, I am an espionage agent for the United States government. That's most unfortunate for you. So you betrayed me, eh? I should have known better than to trust a gangster. But I didn't know. And granted, I know I'm not consistently keeping the voice up as well, but you gotta kind of excuse me for that.
You got a lot of characters to take care of there.
Not just that, but I'm also battling. As I said, you can tell I've got a bit of a cold here too.
Yeah, don't strain it, man.
Yeah. I wouldn't get so angry, my friend, for the plans are useless to you now. You set fire to them. Yes, the United States has a duplicate. My job was to keep you from delivering them to the wrong party. You win this time, Black X. But there's other deals. As you said, it is unfortunate that we must be enemies.
So shoot him. You've got a gun on him. Why ever meet him again when you can shoot him?
Yep. That does seem to make a certain amount of sense there.
I mean, he's just sitting there fixing his tie and smoking a cigarette. He doesn't have a gun on you. Shoot him.
But then isn't that how all secret agents are? They're just kind of calm, cool, and collected in whatever situation they're put in.
Yeah.
Silently, a figure drops overboard as the ship reaches Ellis Island. Days later, in a quiet corner of a fashionable cafe, I must say that for your first case, you are amazingly successful. Thank you, Major Gates. I wonder how successful I really was. I'm beginning to get a kick out of being just plain X. And he's got the monocle there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both had the same monocle. But one had the scar across his face so we can tell them apart.
All right, so I'm going to shrink back down to 125 for a moment so we can, just for navigational purposes. And then we're going to go straight to the clock story. Then we'll go back through and kind of go through some of the other. There we go. The clock strikes. Yeah, that. You know what's kind of funny about that too? The hero is named the Clock, but the feature is called The Clock Strikes. I was, one of the things I find interesting about that is that kind of happened, in 2001 too, when Static Shock debuted on Kids WB.
Oh yeah,
You know,
people
I
thought his name
know,
was Static Shock for a long time.
I was one of those who thought that Static Shock was actually the hero's name. It was the name of the show. The actual name of the hero though was Static.
Yeah, that was bad marketing on their part. That one, that name wasn't quite the same as the clock strikes because it's sort of like saying the shadow knows. You got verb noun agreement going on and everything. So the clock's going to strike some criminals. We get that, but Static Shock.
Well, if you remember too from that, they had the Static Shock. I'm going to put a shock to your system.
Yep.
That was the actual tagline they would use. I'm going to bring a shock to your system. So, and ever since, now granted, Static was born from the Milestone universe.
Yeah.
I believe had hardware in it too.
He was the second best thing to come out of it.
Yeah. And of course, now I don't know if you remember from a couple months back, because I know I did kind of I reviewed an article on it, but apparently now they're going to try to link Static to the whole social justice movement.
Of course, why not?
With this new, I don't know how Dwayne McDuffie would have actually felt about that, but anyways, let's get to this. The Clock Strikes, a complete story by George E. Brenner. And GEO is, of course, as we talked about, an abbreviation for George. Look at that mask. And, as you know, this is probably part of the reason why BatGoat loves to call this guy Captain Napkin Face.
Yeah. I don't know what holds the napkin down. A good light breeze will going to expose his face.
Oh. Hey, RJ, take a look here.
Hey, Woody. I didn't have the comments viewable over here. There they are.
Yeah. And as always, of course, I do appreciate any and all likes and shares if you haven't already. Hopefully we can get some more friendlier people to come in and sit back and learn a little bit of comic history with us. So, anyways, let's get to it. Flash! The manufacturing firm of ZY Callis has closed its doors rather than give the employees a 10% salary raise. This throws 1,800 men into the unemployed field. Many of these men have complained that the plant closed the day before payday, and they are without funds and family needs. Remember, this was back during the Depression. This is, I think, this is around the time when labor laws were starting to come to fruition. Because this is like 38 year. When approached on this point, Mr. Callis said, quote, "It is true, and the money is waiting there, and the plant will reopen if the men will return to their positions at the same wage scale, and no more talk of money," end quote. Now, of course, today, employers could not get away with that. Right, RJ?
No, they would not.
There'd be no way in Hades that they would get away with pulling that. Yeah, we're gonna shut everything down the day before payday, so we don't have to pay you. It's kind of like squeezing the workers to keep them from complaining about getting raises.
Well, that's why they started forming unions.
Mm-hmm. G.Y. Callis, eh? Seems to me I have quite a bit on that chap. I'll look him up.
A good name for a company owner who's mistreating his workers, callous.
Yep. I believe that's, yeah, Callis, yeah.
It's spelled differently, but it's pronounced phonetically the same as being callous toward his workers'
Like
needs.
it's a synonym for Callous.
Yeah.
Going to his files, the clock finds more information than he hoped for. In 1910, arrested for embezzlement. 1910 to 1920. Acquitted on several minor charges. And in 1922, arrested and fined for income tax evasion. Well, income tax evasion? Was
What
that?
they got Al Capone on.
I gotta look something up real quick here, because what was that? Was that even? Because I think there was something in the Constitution about that.
Yes, by 1922 there was definitely an income tax.
Okay. Yeah, because
I believe it was implemented in 1911.
all right. Well, yeah, and I think they even had an amendment for it. In fact.
Yes, they did.
Just look it up. A very old reference here.
It's the thing that's taken many criminals down because they didn't criminal legally. Stole all that money and then didn't pay taxes on it.
They said it was something by 1911.
I think.
Wait, let me look back to you further. But I could have sworn
1913.
1913.
Yep. The first income tax was right after the Civil War, and they dropped it, and then they said, "Hey, we kind of like that. We're going to bring it back."
Okay.
And then most of the taxes were created in the 20s and the 30s, like the estate tax, the gift tax, and Social Security taxes.
Yeah, during the New Deal, which were in the time period right there, but okay.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay, so put in reference, 1913, I believe. Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes on incomes. This is Amendment 16. Amendment 16. On income from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states. So it was 1913. I knew there was an amendment that actually codified income tax. It was 1913. I remember that. Had to look that up because I had to remind myself if they actually had income tax by 1938, and they did. Let's see, for embezzlement, and then from 1910, acquitted on several minor charges, and in 1922, arrested and fined for income tax in 1922. Of course, income tax was there. So, all right. Sometimes it's good to be reminded of history, huh? There, RJ.
Absolutely. Who says you don't learn nothing from your comic books if you try?
Well, that's part of the reason why we like to go back in time and look at them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The matter of perspective. Just an honest citizen trying to get along.
Yeah, notice how they emphasized honest. There's sarcasm in that statement.
Yeah. Yep. Good eye there. Good eye there. And there's no mention of him ever donating to charity. There's money.
Well, there's a crime.
Well, I mean, again, you haven't read a lot of The Clock. What I can tell you, because I've read some of the synopses, and that was a big thing for him. In terms of giving to charity and all that, and you'll probably see at the end of this story too.
See, a bit of a Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's money in that plant. I think I'll pay him a visit. Now, mind you, and when you see some of the methods he uses here, you got to also remember this is also like 20 years before Miranda.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Plus, he's not a cop, so.
Huh?
He's not a cop anyway, so he can do what he wants.
Yeah. But I don't know if you saw, like, one of my first, when I first was talking about The Clock, how, he would have a torture chamber in his basement. I don't know if you ever heard about that or anything like that, or if I mentioned that.
No. Well, even nowadays, The Flash and Arrow both had private prisons in the cellars of their headquarters. They kept all their bad guys in.
All right. I'll leave the car and walk the rest of the way to the plant. It's safer. The Clock climbs to a small extension that is on a level with a window leading to the plant and offices. That one looks easiest. Uh-huh. Uh-oh. I'm gonna step away from the computer for a moment because I gotta go take care of something real quick here.
All right. Well, while Mike is doing that, we'll just take over the show. So tonight, we learned on the Pop XP show, and this is coming to me through tweets and other Twitters because I was driving in the rain and not, watching my phone because I'm a good citizen. But it turned out that people were talking more about critical blast logistics. And if you don't know what that is the fulfillment service that we provide for people who are crowdfunding their comics. We do it for folks we target people who are crowdfunding from international locations outside the U.S. to help them bring the shipping costs down within the U.S. And we have just received our latest shipment, and this is from the U.K. This is one of the hardcover books from Rich Parada. This is Incontessi #2. Hear that hardcover? We have hardcovers of #1, and we have soft covers of 2 and 1. And starting first thing tomorrow morning, these are going to start going into packages and shipped out to the United States people who backed it. So if you have any books to back, hit us up on Critical Blast on Twitter at Critical Blast, or at Critical Blast on Facebook, or at Critical Blast on YouTube. And now back to Mike.
All right. Thank you, RJ, and thank you for entertaining the crowd while I was away.
Hey, you left me with an open mic, man. I'm gonna.
Yeah, of course. Hey, I have no problem with that.
Better than dead air.
Exactly. Oh, nice, Woody said.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like the smell of fresh ink.
Yeah, it would be nice too. I think Pops and a few others would enjoy some of this and get them to come over, right, RJ?
Yeah.
I bet those brand new books smell good. RJ, what how do you answer that?
Oh, they smell very good. There's nothing like the smell of fresh ink.
Huh.
You know, there's only one thing better than the smell of new books. That's the smell of old books. When you get an old 1960s, 70s comic and you take it out of a bag that's been in, you open it up and you're like, that's newsprint.
Well, yeah, a well-preserved comic, as you might put it. Yeah. All right. Anyways, back to the story here. A light. Someone's had the same idea as I. He's leaving, nervous too. Probably an amateur. I'll follow the lad. Keeping well in the shadows, the clock stalks his prey and is led to the poorest section of the city. He's turning into that old tenement. Dropping to one knee, the clock looks through a keyhole and sees his man entering another room. Trying the door, he finds it unlocked. Like he just decides to just go right into somebody else's home, right?
Sure. He's not breaking and entering. He's just entering.
Yeah. Don't move. What? What? Let me make absolutely sure we caught everything there. Yep. Okay. Don't shoot, mister. I'll go with you quietly. Gosh, I knew I shouldn't have done it. You're a detective, but why the mask? It's a hobby. Some hobby.
Who's asking me questions about my career choice here? Superhero's a valid career. Come on.
Well, I'm ready. Don't make any noise. I don't want them to know. Them? Yes, my wife and baby. Say. Give me the whole story from the beginning. $5 years ago, I started to work for Callis at $12 a week, and I never got a raise. Then the little fella came along, and he took what little money we saved. Then Callis closed the plant, and I was one of the men whose pay was held up. We needed it for medicine and food for the baby. I got desperate and decided to break in and take my pay. Nothing else, honest. And then I saw all that money, and well, I just couldn't resist it, and I took it. Let me ask you. Let me ask you something.
Still a crime.
Well, do you kind of get the feeling of SJW right here?
Uh, a little bit.
But
That's
maybe not to the extreme that we see today, right?
yeah. And I'm with the guy all the way up to the point where he took the money above his pay. If he'd have just taken his pay, I'd have been like, it's his.
Yeah, but it also goes to show you, you know, one of the vices of man, right?
Oh
Greed,
yeah.
greed. You know, one of the vices of men.
Yep.
So
It goes into that whole question of ethics. Is it wrong to steal food if your children are starving?
I never stole before in my life, honest. I didn't, but oh, what's the use? Come on, take me in. Wait a minute, son. I'm not a detective. In fact, I was going to do the same thing you did, only you beat me to it. Interesting.
The clock is also a thief.
I know what kind of a crooked old skinflint Callus is, and decided he should part with some of his money. You see, I'm the clock. The clock?
You wouldn't have to tell people this if your costume was something that looked clock-like.
Yeah, but okay, think about that for a moment, okay? The original Clock King in the comics, right?
Yeah, the
William
Clock
Talkman.
King.
William Talkman, who dresses up like a clock, and his crimes are all in
Clock
essence
based. Yeah.
clock themed. Okay, what kind of respect do you think people would give him, give a hero calling himself the clock to be dressed up like a clock?
He could at least put like, a clock face on the napkin. He could still wear the suit. Just, he's just he could be the Green Hornet in that costume.
Yeah, yeah.
Except he'd be the Blue Hornet.
Of course, what we have to understand too from the DCU, of course, we now know of there are two Clock King. I don't know if the second Clock King was ever. You might know this more than I would. If the second Clock King, Temple Fugit, was actually incorporated into the mainstream DC universe.
I don't know.
You know who I'm talking about, though?
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't have been incorporated.
Temple Fugit was a character that was actually introduced on Batman the Animated Series, who ended up calling himself the Clock King. He was an efficiency expert.
Okay, so it was one created on the cartoon show. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why. Hang on, just a moment. Oh,
There were a few that were created from the cartoons of the DCAU that ended up being incorporated into the mainstream comic universe.
well, yeah, Harley Quinn for one.
She's probably the most famous. I think Livewire was another one. Volcana may have been another one.
Let's consult. Let's consult the Bible.
Are you going to try to see if the Temple Fugit Clock King was incorporated into the DCU?
You know what? I bet all of these. I bet that he wouldn't be in here because this came out before Batman the Animated Series. All these books published before then.
Yeah,
yeah.
probably.
They've only got William Talkman in here.
Yeah. Well, if anything, between the two, I think Temple Fugit would have been the better Clock King, anyways, because he was an efficiency expert.
Yes.
If anything, you know who, at least from the Golden Age, who Temple Fugit kind of reminds me of?
Who's that?
I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but there was a villain. He was a Green Arrow villain called Professor Million. Have
I
you
have
ever
not
heard of
heard of
him?
Professor Million.
You've never heard of Professor Million? This is
No.
back during the Golden Age. Green Arrow, the Earth 2 version of Green Arrow, the one who was part of the Seven Soldiers of Victory. He had one of his arch enemies that he eventually became an ally was a college math professor who called himself Professor Million. His first big crime that he was trying to his first encounter with Green Arrow, what he was trying to basically do was he was trying to find money to help fund the college or fund the math department or something like that.
Ah,
And so he
okay.
turned to crime to do it by using like mathematical formulas in his plans. So yeah, considering that the Golden Age Green Arrow is probably a pretty obscure character to begin with, I think most people only know of Green Arrow from the Silver Age, Earth One's Green Arrow. But
Yeah.
not a lot of people probably know of like too much about the adventures of Green Arrow and Speedy on Earth 2.
Professor Million didn't even make it into the Who's Who, but boy, that would have been a great character to throw onto the Arrow show just to have a throwback.
Well, let's see. I think it might be a reference to him on DCU Guide. Let me.
I found him on one of the wikis, but
Well, let me see if. Let me see if I can. All right, here we go. I'm going to close this out for a moment. We'll come back to that in a moment, just because I want to, just so I can show you, because I think they might have, as soon as I find him here, let's see, try to figure out if, will it be under P for professor or under M for million? That's what I got to figure out here.
well, the Who's Who book, when they did list professors, they put them all into the P's. So they had Professor Ivo and Professor Milo and Professor Amos Fortune.
Well, we'll see here. Okay, next. Oh, here we go. All right, so I found what I was. All right, so I'll share this with you real quick. Then we'll go back to the the stories there. And sometimes it is a good what to do these sidebars a little bit here. Okay, so here's his index on DCU Guide. Here's another source that I tend to use every now and again. So mathematics professor, occasional criminal, blue eyes, gray hair. First appearance in More Fun Comics number 88, February of 1940. I would imagine that's the cover date. Creator Joe Samanchian, and basically he was an he was basically one of Green Arrow's. We don't have a lot of information on him here, other than the fact that let's see, for a definitive list of Professor Moon chronology. So, yeah, take a quick peek. Below is he was only in like 4 issues.
Yeah.
So, the mystery of the mathematical master, when archers meet, a return performance, million plus murder equals 0. So you see all that right there for More Fun Comics 88, 97, 103, and 107. As you can probably tell, these were at a time. Obviously this was before your time, so you may not have known it unless like you were like me and went back and had studied all of some of DC's earlier stuff. There's Robert Roberts. Hail President Xenu and President Xena, our only true saviors. All right.
Hey, Robert.
As always, guys, I do appreciate any likes and shares. That does help with the algorithm. Hail Woody. So, anyways, we'll get back to the clock story there. Let's see. Wow, we're already past the hour mark.
Oh, yeah.
We may not be able to, even though we took a little sidebar here. I think it was a good sidebar. You learn, after all, you learn something new, right? Right there, right, RJ?
Always. Another villain out there I didn't know about.
Hello, RJ and Mike. Hey, Robert. All right, so let's continue on with the story here. Gee, I heard of you. You're a swell guy. You help people, poor people. Skip that, son. I'm going to try and help you. He already has a reputation for helping, those not as well off. Give me the money. Give me the money you took. All but $12.
You can keep your pay. Give me the extra.
Yeah. Well, think about it too. 12. Now if BatGoat was here, we'd be able to find out because he'd punch it in on the inflation calculator what $12, what $12 would be in today's, market.
Well, what year was the story?
1938. What, do you have an inflation calculator?
Sure, everybody has one. It's called the Google thing. $12 was $236.55
in today's terms.
So he still wasn't making. He was making McDonald's money.
Yeah, no kidding. But for that time period, it
he's
probably
bringing home 236. Let me just do one other calculation here. 236.55 divided by a 40-hour week. He's making $5.91 an hour, and that's well, okay. He's making a little bit more. That is
McDonald's money. That's like entry level type pay.
He'd actually be making more than that. I mean, if I said that the 236 was only 75% of the money.
What was that?
But let's assume that he had taxes. That's his gross. So 236 times 0.33. Yeah. Okay. So 236 plus 78 equals divided by 40. Okay, so he's making $7.85 an hour. That's more like it.
Huh.
That's better. That's a lot better.
Ouch. That's less than well, yeah, probably it's less than McDonald's money today because think about it.
The McDonald's is $14 an hour now.
Yeah, $14 an hour.
Yeah, I've seen the signs advertising for workers because they're trying to get people to come back to work now.
Yeah, well, and you have a whole generation that's basically been told that it's the rich white men's fault that they're not happy.
Yep.
They don't want to fend. They don't want to even try to fend for themselves. They just want to wait for the handouts to come. But then, even as and I know this has been quoted a number of times, it was Margaret Thatcher who said, "You eventually run out of other people's money."
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to the story here.
Back to the story.
Now you've committed a crime, and crime doesn't pay. You promise to put back bit by bit the $12 you have now. I'll keep quiet and take the blame for it. But should you fail me, I'll find out and turn you over to the police.
It was his $12. It was his $12. It was his pay.
Well, I mean, it's one of those, again, as you mentioned earlier, it's one of those very morally very murky questions.
Yeah. It's like, it was his money. Now, if the guy pays him the $12 when they go back to work,
he still stole it.
Oh.
Even if it was his money,
Yeah. I say put it back if the guy pays you the $12 that he was supposed to in the first place.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
I'll put it back. Honest, I will, Mr. Clock. I'm not a thief. Honest. Good. That's the way I like to hear you speak.
Clock's
Sit
getting a little
tight.
fascist.
What was that?
Clock's getting a little fascist.
As I said, this is still 20 years before Miranda.
That's the way I like to hear you speak. Now he's controlling speech.
Again, the Clock isn't probably the first superhero that, the quote-unquote smart people thought was fascist.
Yeah, I know.
In fact, it's kind of funny. I don't know if you caught part of this story the other day when I was covering it, but they were talking about, I guess, before he was let go from D.C., supposedly Dan Didio they were pushing the idea of turning Superman into like a right-wing extremist or something like that.
That would be hard to understand. But if they'd have said they were going to turn him gay, I'd have said the same thing about it. So,
yeah. Just sit tight and keep your mouth closed. I'll do the rest. Good luck to you, son. And keep your chin up. And you'll come out on top yet. Good night, Mr. Clock. Now, here's what I would be wondering: if he does in fact plan to give back the $12, right? Little by little.
yeah.
How's he gonna do it?
Exactly. The books would balance wrong. They wouldn't balance. They're like, hey, there's an extra $2 in here. Where'd that come from?
I mean, that'd be my question. I mean, how is he supposed to do it? Slip it into the cash box when nobody's looking?
Yeah, but then the books don't balance.
Yeah.
If he'd have said, if you promise to give $12 to charity little by little over the next 6 months, then
that would probably make a little more sense, and that actually does sound more like the Clock's modus operandi. So, enveloped in the shadows of the night, the Clock heads for the plant of ZY Callus. That boy isn't a thief. He was driven to that deed by desperation and love. I think he knows that honesty is the best policy. So maybe his methods aren't as always as clean cut, but his underlying motivation is. Wouldn't you agree, RJ?
Well, sure, he's devoted to his sense of justice. He's a kind of like a Steve Ditko character, sort of like Mr. A.
Once inside, the clock has little trouble opening the safe. So there won't be any mistake as to who did this job. I'll leave a card. Ledgers, I'll look them over. My guess is he suspects something else too.
Yeah.
Oh, you okay? You remember earlier in the story when he was looking through his files
Oh yeah.
and
Extensive files.
how and how he saw how had been how ZY Callis had been busted for embezzling and income tax evasion.
Yep. He's gonna catch him on that.
Yeah. Well, the old swindler hasn't learned the error of his ways yet. After all his trouble with the law, I'll give him a call. I think I can accomplish more than I had planned with this evidence. Oh boy. What do you call that?
I call it the bad guy getting off on a technicality.
I call it something else. In a way, the clock is committing a bit of a crime here.
Oh, if he's going to extort the guy, sure.
Bingo! Exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking, RJ. Extortion.
Hey, I'm not going to tell everybody about this crime you've committed.
Hello, Mr. Callis. This is the clock. Don't interrupt, please. Just listen. I'm calling you from your factory office. I'm very familiar with the discrepancies of your past life. And I have before me the evidence that proves you are still a chiseler. I found 2 sets of books. In one set, you keep a true record of your business, and the other set, I presume, is a set you show the government. It shows only about 1/3 of the actual business you do. I'm going to give you a break. Your income tax isn't due for another month yet, so it isn't for another month yet. So, if you'll draw up your reports from the set of books I leave and make a public announcement to the press that you are reopening your plant and the men are returning to work at a 20% increase and a 40-hour week, I won't turn you over to the authorities otherwise. You know what I will do, and you can take my word for that.
They're going to make $9.42 an hour now.
Good night, Mr. Callis. The following evening, the clock listens to the news of the day. Flash! The ZY Callis plant reopens tomorrow morning, and the men return to a 20% increase and a 40-hour week. Mr. Callis said he wants to be one of the pioneers in the bettering of conditions for the working man. Phooey. You were about to say something there?
Yeah, they might have actually been making more per hour because they weren't getting a 40-hour work week.
Yeah, they probably were working like, what would it be, like 60 hour or something like that?
Oh yeah. I didn't know if he was like working them under the 40 hours or if he was working them more than the 40 hours. But you're right. He probably was working more than the 40 hours and paying them that rate. In which case, they were not getting any overtime.
Mm-hmm. Because back then they probably didn't have, overtime pay or anything like that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they didn't. No unions yet.
Let's see now. Where are we at? Hour and 30. So, well, I guess we got so let me at least we got like 15 minutes before we get to the ouch, that's less than McDonald's money. Yep, $14
Plus a
plus.
signing bonus. Yeah, they're getting like $200 just to sign up. Some of them $400 just to sign up.
Yeah. I remember when I was back in high school, I'd go try to look for jobs. $5 an hour was the minimum wage back
Yeah,
then.
and you were glad to get it.
Most kids were. $5 an hour working maybe 20 hours a week at McDonald's as compared to what $5 a week allowance from your parents,
Yep,
if that.
that was $100 a week. And then you found out what taxes were.
It will happen. Nothing can stop it. We can take this chat out next Christmas to check back. Well, probably. Well, since I keep my streams up, that's true. And if you missed any information or anything, you guys can always go back and watch it again. 2022 also, Jussie Smollett will be invited to write some Captain America. Oh God!
If he's not asked to play the part.
Oh man! All right, so let's see, hour 32. So let me see. Guess what we'll try to do now that we've under the two main features there. Kind of go back through and look over. Let's see. Actually, let's see. Oh, wait. No, first. Oh, get this right here, RJ. All us champion athletes eat candy. Well, George Bungle, for once we agree. Candy is a real food. Get that,
food
RJ.
I've been looking
Candy, back in 1938, candy was a food.
Yep.
Candy is delicious food. Enjoy some every day. Oh, you know that some nutritionist somewhere would be sitting there having a heart attack on that one.
Well, we're getting endorsements from fictional characters. What are they going to do? Sue the fictional character?
Considering that these were fictional characters from what, like, let's see, 2021 minus 1938 from 83 years ago?
Yeah. I do enjoy candy every day. It keeps me full of pep. We're talking about a sugar rush.
Oh boy, between me and you, candy is a favorite dish. That's Mickey Finn right there. There's Joe Palooka. Let's see. Joe Palooka's boxing. I'm going to read some of these shorter ones because I know we're a little lacking on time here. By Nobby Walsh. He finished that their history of boxing at last. And he said you'd give boxing lessons. I'll write on how. So okay, so what this is that Ham Fisher, who of course is the guy who wrote Joe Palooka right here. This section now that where you see Joe Palooka's boxing course.
Yeah.
Before this, Ham Fisher had like a history of boxing column here, where he would show like I guess from that point, anyways, from prior to 1938 or whatever whatever the date was, you know, boxing history. So I'll write on how you another and other famous boxers train, and you show them, fellers now watch for our first boxing lesson. And I'm just gonna read probably these top ones because they're gonna be shorter and quicker. Dear fellas, the art of self-defense is one up the most worthwhile studies. It builds many fine qualities. Figure 1. So you see him doing squats there, developing the leg muscles. Let's start. Imitate a Cossack dance. Okay, so a Cossack dance is you squat and then you kick out a leg. Squat to a sitting position, jump up again, and do this. Before mirror, dance and skip upright, shift weight, try to acquire good balance. Strange as it seems. And then we already read the espionage story here. Lollapalooza! Vincent, how will that gadget get us in the studio? When I give the cop a cigar, he takes off his cap to put the cigar under the band. The toy rabbit falls in front of him, and the dog goes after the rabbit, pulling the boxing glove, which knocks out the cop, then walk past. All right. You see, you put the money on the horse's nose before a race. In a close finish, the jockey's arm releases the bees, which sting the horse's nose, raising a lump, and he wins by a nose. That's kind of interesting. Lollapalooza, by the way, by Rube Goldberg.
Yes, Rube Goldberg, who was known for the Rube Goldberg devices that are just like you described in this cartoon.
Yeah, from the Tom and Jerry cartoons. Those very complex mousetrap. In fact, if I remember correctly, there was actually a game called Mousetrap.
There was.
That was basically just the game board was pretty much, as you said, a Rube Goldberg device.
Yeah, in fact, he after he got done with Lollapalooza, he would do like single panel strips for newspapers that were nothing but the machines that he would devise. So you would, you just look at this machine, and it'd be like the thing, where like the alarm clock goes off, the rattling of the alarm clock causes an egg to fall off the shelf, which rolls down a thing and cracks in the pan. The cat wakes up and runs off, and his tail is tied to the oven burner, and he turns on the oven as he runs off and fries the egg.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we got some guys kind of commented here. Engeltine Aid review of 1980s Hostess Pies. ads in the stream.
Those were better written than some of the comics we're getting now. Some of the full comics, those one-page Hostess Pie advertisements, yeah, they were good storytelling.
Batman, The Flash, and an adventure where they ate fruit pies from Hostess. No fruit was harmed in the manufacturing of these pies.
Hey, are you saying there was no fruit in those fruit pies? Come on. I bit into an apple at least once in an apple fruit pie.
Actually, I do remember those. As a kid, I do remember those Hostess pies. They were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
The
I don't know
apple.
what they're making now because it's not the same now. The new company, no.
Well, I think they still make donuts and stuff like that. But
Well, they still make all the same things, but the formula is not the same. The recipe's not the same. Somebody bought out the, what was it, Interstate Bakeries when Hostess was about to go under. Remember, everybody was hoarding Twinkies.
actually, I don't remember that. But
Oh yeah, you could buy Twinkies on eBay for like $100 a box because people were hoarding them. And then some company came in and bought them, and they're reproducing the Hostess stuff. But if you buy one today, it is not the same thing. The Twinkies are not the same. The Suzy Q's don't even deserve to have the label on them because they're not Suzy Q's.
that was a Cossack dance. I thought that were checking me for DUI. Yeah. So let's see. I'm gonna breeze through this a little bit more so we can hit more of the, at least so you guys can see. Like here's Ned Brandt, who I think was kind of like a sports hero type comic. Just again, we're at hour 41 now, so we're kind of like Archie O'Toole by Bud Thomas, which was a pseudonym for Will Eisner.
Yep.
Here's Dixie Dugan, and Good Deed Doty. Now Dixie. Now again, aside from aside from the clock, and Espionage and a few others, most of these are still reprints. Just to
Yeah.
let you know, most of these are still like reprints of newspaper comics. And I know I'm kind of flashing through here, but as I said, we're kind of real close to. Here's Mickey Finn. Now with this particular set of reprints, RJ, one of the things I'm kind of intrigued by
What's that?
is a lot of these characters and titles, right? There is a nomenclature about them. That's Joe Palooka. We all know what a palooka is, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like a guy or a thug or what have you. Mickey Finn, from what I heard, is a type of alcoholic drink.
Well, it's a thing you put in an alcoholic drink to make somebody knock out. It's a roofie.
Ah, okay. I knew it had something to do with that. Lollapalooza, which means a very grand party.
Yep.
A lot. If you noticed, a lot of these. Now, not all of them, obviously, but some of these names have very interesting aspects to.
Oh yeah, and a lot of them did that with the comedy stuff that was aimed a lot more at the kids. Sometimes, I mean, look at the entire Harvey line. When you get into the Richie Rich world, he's Richie Rich. Well, and he's rich, and his the girl who wanted him was Maida Money, and his friend the comedian was Jackie Jokers.
Well, the only part of I didn't even know up until more recently. I didn't even know Richie Rich was a comic. I didn't know. I neither knew that Richie Rich was a comic book, nor that he was a part of the Harvey Tunes line.
Oh yes,
I knew of Richie Rich, but I knew of the cartoon in the 80s.
You knew the Richie Rich Scooby Doo team up cartoon series where they never met each other, but But yeah, get into that
Where
sometime.
you
You'll
had
especially
Gloria
like
and Reggie Vandersnood and
Gloria Glad, Dot Polka, who loved polka dots. Lotta Plump, little Lotta Plump. But yeah, get into the comics sometime. They were actually really good
well, we
stories.
probably will at some point. It may be a while, but you
Yeah,
know.
every once in a while they did this. They did a special where they do a Richie Rich and Casper team up.
Well, I do know some of the like I know like because from Harvey Toons, like I know of like Casper and his
Yeah,
cast of characters, Hector and Catnip, Baby Huey, Little Audrey. In fact, even you look at some of those cartoons today. Anyways, we're at an hour 45 now, so we're gonna probably have to wind up, wrap up here
absolutely.
because but we read some good stories there, and and actually we had some pretty good conversation on some. Granted, we got off topic a little bit there, but still pretty good. Um, Richie Rich was my favorite comic as a kid, um, with Uncle Scrooge and the Beagle Boys. Yeah. How rich can you get? You're never
Never
gonna know
gonna
till
know
you
till you
met.
met. Do 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 do.
This young boy, Richie Rich is his name. His bank account is as rich as his name. That's the case, Richie. I may not remember the whole song, but
Something in the Rich Hall of Fame. That's Rich. Richie
Richie
Rich.
Rich. Yeah, but anyway, so we're gonna start to wrap up here. So we've got this day in each history to do, and I also have an announcement. So after we're done with this day in each history, guys, I have an announcement as to the plans for the Mikestand for the rest of the year here. So you guys are going to want to stick around for that here. All right. So with today being Friday, December 17th, we're going to take a look back at this day in each history. As soon as I take a quick peek to remind myself of some of the stuff. Alrighty then. Okay, so without no further ado, let's get going here. Let's see. And Woody is saying here, I can still do most of the Casper, the Friendly Ghost cartoon show theme song from memory.
Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendliest ghost
Friendliest
you
ghost you
know.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in syndication when I was watching them in the 80s there, but because I think they were originally produced in the 50s, I believe.
Oh yeah, I was watching them in the early '70s.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in each history. And our first stop is going to actually be going back 80 years ago, back to 1941. And this kind of goes into a little bit of what we were talking about earlier, somewhat. Um, on this date, back in 1941, 80 years ago today, DC Comics, as world's best comics company, um, released on the newsstands the first issue of Leading Comics. Leading Comics started out as a quarterly title, um, that was to feature the Seven Soldiers of Victory, which were, of course, and you can see the cover right there: Green Arrow, Speedy, Vigilante, Shining Knight, Star Spangled Kids, Stripesy, and Crimson Avenger. So, on this date, back in 1941, the first issue of Leading Comics, the Blueprint for Crime, which featured the 7 characters we were just talking about there. One of them being the Golden Age Green Arrow. Went on sale on this date in 60s here. Neat history time. All right, so with that, let's move on to the next piece of niche history here. Oh, RJ, if you don't mind sticking around for a couple minutes afterwards,
Okay.
just hang on and talk a little bit. So let me see now. Yeah. All right, on this date, 20 years ago today, back in 2001, from the Cajun Dome in Lafayette, Louisiana, the WWE, WWF at the time, now WWE, of course, held its Monday Night Raw event. On the night, saw in the main event Rob Van Dam defeat Chris Jericho by disqualification in a WWF Undisputed Championship match with Ric Flair as a special guest referee. Also on the card, the first match on the card saw the Undertaker retain the Hardcore Championship over Jeff Hardy. The Dudley Boys retain the World Tag Team Championships over Albert and Scotty 2 Hotty. Christian retained the European Championship over Taz. Um, Lance Storm defeated The Rock by count, and if Storm wins, he'll get a contract match, which I don't know. I don't remember what that meant. So that's basic. And some of them were just other like mid card type matches, but that happened on this date 20 years ago. Raw was held from the Cajun Dome. Moving on to the next. Let's see. On this date in 2011, from Shirogumi Incorporated, the anime film Friends Mononoke Shina no Naki premiered on this date back in 2011. So 10 years ago today, the Shiromugi, I believe that's how you, yeah, Shirogumi Incorporated anime movie Friends Mononoke Shina no Naki premiered on this date in 2011. And finally, on this date 5 years ago today, 2016, there was a passing. Gordon Hunt, the father of Helen Hunt, he was an American writer, director, actor who worked in television, film, theater, and voice work. He worked quite a bit for Hanna-Barbera. He directed such animated productions as The Jetsons, Scooby-Doo, Super Friends, Richie Rich Show, which we were just talking about, Smurfs, Pound Puppies. So Gordon Hunt, cartoon director, passed away on this date back in 2016, 5 years ago today. All right, so that's it for this day in niche history, guys. Now, before everybody leaves, there is one more announcement I got to make here. For those of you who've been with me throughout this week, you've noticed that I've seemingly been a bit under the weather. Apparently, I've got a bit of a bug. I believe it's just a cold, so nothing major there. But with that, and since I was already planning on taking the 2 Fridays off anyways due to the holidays, figured it might be I think it might be my body telling me that I need to take a bit of a rest.
Yes, take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, this is going to be the last Mikestand for 2021. I'm going to take the next 2 weeks off to kind of rest up. I'll still be around. I'll probably drop by, say hi on RJ's. We'll start up again in January. Hopefully by the first week of January, this bug will be out of me. It was bad probably on Wednesday, but I went after it pretty quickly. Went and got some daytime cold medicine today. Been taking some NyQuil during the night to try to push it out faster. I think it's just my body just trying to remind me that I'm not as young and vigorous as I once was, and I need at times to slow down. And if my body tells me that I need to take a nap, I should take a nap, even if I have
Should
like
take a nap.
20 things running through my head that I got to do.
Take that
So,
nap.
it's funny, and I know some of you already know this. Getting older, sometimes you don't like the fact, being reminded that you're getting older, because you get reminded that you may not be quite as strong and vital as you were when you were, let's say, in your 20s.
Not as immortal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're all mortal.
No, not as immortal.
Yeah, I know. I know what you meant.
What was it? Somebody's quote was that, man is that one creature that believes that knows that all men are mortal except himself.
Yep. Let's see. Woody said something here. 10 hours a week all year long of new content is pretty hard. Is pretty hard schedule, Mike. Yeah, that's true. Well, it's true. I mean, RJ knows this because we've talked about this too before. Where you know, and even though I'm not, even though the majority of it is just me reading articles, it's also, as I'm reading them, analyzing them, and giving my commentary in a running format. I can run myself ragged. I can run myself into the ground as well as anybody. But anyways, I just want to let you guys know that this will be the last Mikestand for 2021. And we should be able to start up again. Hopefully I'll have this bug out of me by the first week of January, I believe. Because I'm gonna focus on getting some more rest and not pushing myself quite as hard. So, um, But anyways, and Robert said something here. We are closer to death than our high school graduation now. Yeah, that's true.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
That's true. But anyways, guys, well, I thank you guys again. RJ, if you can, as I said, stick around for a couple minutes.
There you go.
So anyways, guys, you'll still see me around. I'll probably, I don't know if RJ, well, actually, before we go, RJ, do you want to promote anything before we go?
I already took advantage of that earlier in the show. So,
no, you don't have any interviews coming up this week that you want to promote, or any
I've got gosh, tomorrow is the I don't have anything scheduled for next week. I know I got some bigger things scheduled for further out, but tomorrow I have an author whom I've never spoken with before at 2 p.m. Eastern, Bonsart Boxel. So he's out of Europe. That's why we're doing it at 1 p.m. my time, so that he can be awake. And then at 7 we have the LCS guys. This guy named Mike Barron wants to show up and see if he can talk with the guys some. So come by.
Yeah, I know he's been kind of doing a lot of the scene lately. I know Pop's had him on a couple of times. I think isn't he promoting his
Thin
latest
Blue Line.
comic, The Thin Blue Line? Yeah. I was there when you were doing your interview with him on that. So
yeah, he's a good friend of the show. He's anytime I really need somebody to fill a spot, he's like, what time? and then he shows up.
Yeah. Let me see. And are you Are you going to be doing open mic night this week or no?
Probably not, because I do have to go back to Fayetteville Sunday. I don't know what time I'm going to get back because Fayetteville. I'm going to make a day of it this time. Normally I just go. They take the plasma, do their thing. That's 2 hours. I get lunch and I come back. But this time I think I'm going to go get lunch at Twin Peaks, since Perch went there. And I'm like, oh, that looks like a good restaurant. Hey, we've got one. Twin Peaks being, of course, the best restaurant around for sports bars. And then after that, I'm going to find a good showing of Spider-Man No Way Home and probably come back and write a review up on that night. So
okay. All right. Just, it'd probably be a good thing then that you're not, I mean, I always enjoy, of course, the open mic night, but even for me, it might be a good,
Yeah,
have
take the risk.
have both Saturday and Sunday off to where I don't really have, as I said, I'm taking these last 2 weeks off to just kind of rest and recuperate a little bit. Um, so that means on Sunday I don't have to worry about like
Not at all.
filling in upcoming week. So all right, well with that guys, I thank everybody for being here. I thank you all for the likes and shares, and I hope you guys will still see me around here and there. Um, but if not, then I will definitely be back in January. So, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you guys.
All right.
Bye.